Wealth is the ability to fully experience life. Henry David. Hey hustlers, my name is Christian and I'm the host of The Hustle Show, where we have amazing, real, no filter conversations with successful entrepreneurs every Monday and Thursday, both on our YouTube channel and our podcast audio experience. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I'm very excited to have you here, and I'm very excited to share today's hustling stories from Ramon Smothers from ramonsmothers.com, as he shares with us how he was able to overcome fear, how he was able to transition from being a full-time employee into a full-time blogger and started his online business and started producing products and started to monetize on his passion. And he's been happier than ever before. This was one of those stories that I just simply had to share with you, okay? And before we jump into our call with Ramon, remember that all the show notes for the episodes, you can find them at thehustleshow.co, along with our free book club where we share and review entrepreneurial books for free, and many other things that we're working on to share and to bring up to you, okay? And I would love for you if you would hit that subscribe button. Either you're watching this in our YouTube channel or you're listening into our audio experience in our podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It will mean the world to me, and it would allow us for other people to find our show as well, and help me spread this message of providing motivational content for people to take action on their ideas and to go after their passion and find a way to monetize on what they love doing, okay? So without further ado, Ramon Smothers. All right, so in today's episode, Ramon Smothers is joining us. Welcome, Ramon.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have you. I was reading a little bit about your story, and it's definitely one of those hustle stories that I wanted to share with everybody on how, you were from being an engineer, a full-time engineer, and doing your thing, working hard and being the best you could do. And all of a sudden, your position got dissolved and you're no longer required with the company. But I love how you came around and you started your own business with your wife, and I absolutely love that. So as soon as I saw that, it's like, we gotta get Ramon in the show.
Yes, man. I'm. It's been exciting. It's been fun, and like I said, man, I'm glad you reached out to me. I love everything you're doing over here. I love the message that you're sending, and your topics and everything, man. So I'm excited about this episode.
Cool. Yeah, I'm very excited too. So, I told a little bit about how you got started into this online business craziness, but tell us a little bit, how was the feeling? How was that moment when you decided to start?
Yeah, man. Shoot. I mean, I guess we can, before I get to the nitty gritty, um, like I said, I got laid off. I had been at that job for going on 6 years, and that was the only professional job I had. I was a field engineer in the oil field. Oil prices dropped, and I was actually one of the last people to get cut from my position. And I thought I was in the clear. We had already laid off 20,000 people at that point, and then they said that they were going to lay off another 5,000, and I was like, oh. Okay, well, I done made it through 20,000. I can't possibly be the last 5,000. And sure enough, my number was called. And on that day, man, I remember I had just returned from my honeymoon. Actually, I had gotten married 2 weeks prior to the layoff. And we had a beautiful honeymoon in Thailand. We spent 12 days out there, and it was beautiful. Had a good time. Actually, we came home, and our newly acquired home was broken into. And so that was a different, struggle and hassle in itself. And I was scheduled to go back to work about 3 days after we got home. So I'm wrapping everything up with the burglary, filing criminal reports, police reports, talking to insurance companies, talking to my insurance. And then on the day of that I was supposed to return to go back to work, they called and told me that you don't have to come back. And so, I mean, this happened in the span of, I get married, I get robbed, and I get laid off in about 2 weeks, right? And you can imagine the anxiety, the fear, the stress at that point. Um, because I had based, we spent a lot of money on a wedding. Um, we had an amazing honeymoon, and we had just recently purchased a new home. So I was afraid, like not being able to provide. I had, I got a new wife. We got a new house, and it was scary, man, and it was scary, and I talk about it all the time, and but the thing about it is, I knew that I wanted more. Like the previous years, maybe for like 2 years before I got laid off, I was dragging my feet, but I was looking into entrepreneurship. I had fell in love with entrepreneurship, and I made some a real estate investment, and that was my first taste of entrepreneurship. And I knew I wanted to grow it and big and just be self dependent. I didn't want my livelihood being based on or being controlled by anyone else. And and at that point, uh, when I got laid off, I said, you know what? I'm going to take control of my destiny, and I'm just going to jump head first in the entrepreneurship. Uh, it was scary, and like I said, a year and a half later, I'm still living. So I guess it wasn't the worst decision in the world. Not even a year and a half, maybe a year and 3 months, year and 2 months. It feels like 10 years, but but it's only been a year and a few months. But like I said, man, I'm still here, and I'm here talking to you. So uh, I'm doing something right.
That's awesome. I love your story. And to be honest, one of the other reasons that I started the show and I started to take full action is because I'm getting married in November, and the wedding is expensive, and I just can't seem to to catch up with all the things that are going on too. So I hear you on that part.
Oh man, well, congratulations, man. Congratulations. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you, thank you. So the real estate was basically your first kind of testing the water kind of entrepreneurship thing.
Yep. And that was the first part of like wealth building is what I talk about and is what I preach. But that was the journey. I knew that was going to be the outlet in the future, so I invested in like long-term multifamily, a duplex, and where I have two incomes coming in. Well, I'm living on one side, and I have some tenants on the other side, and they're paying me every month, and I knew that that was going to be my vessel to like long-term wealth, something that I can pass down to my family, to my kids, and leave a legacy based on that. So yeah, real estate was the first investment I made as an entrepreneur.
So how did that transition from that house that you had that you were living on one side and you were renting the other? How did you transition into getting more involved in that in real estate?
Um, well, actually now I put real estate on hold as of now. And basically because I'm starting a business. So as of course, if you're starting a business, banks want to see decent income, and the valleys and mountaintops of entrepreneurship. Uh, some months you may be doing well, some months you can't. So, and especially in the startup phases, you know, where I am, and I'm still building, and I'm still brand building, and climbing, paving my own path. So but we're still living, and I'm still actively managing that duplex, and I guess we were renting before that. So the transition from renting to owning essentially two homes, in one transaction. I'm taking care of one side, and I'm in charge of the other side of the duplex. So now it's like, and I had never owned a home before that. I grew up, me and my mom, we grew up in apartments my whole entire life. And so I had never knew anything about home ownership or nothing, but I knew that I wanted to make real estate work, and I wanted to build wealth, and I wanted to have passive income as well, outside of my employment income. So yeah, and I did that, and man, and the transition hasn't even been that bad, honestly. My tenants, they've only called me maybe 3 times, and a year and a half now, and they're nice tenants. So landlordship is not that bad for people that that's starting out, or that's interested in getting into it. Uh, but you are a landlord and you are responsible, for tenants and upkeep, and but it's been fun.
Right, right. Well, that's very cool, man. I mean, that's probably one of the things that I want to do in the future too, get into being a landlord. And and I've heard great crazy stories. So I think you're probably the first one that says that they had a good experience on their first project.
Yeah, man. I can't sugarcoat that. It really hasn't been that bad. So yeah.
Cool. So how did that transition into your online business? How did you get started with that?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I was laying in bed one night, man, and I was actually I was stuck, honestly. After the layoff, at that time I was looking for um storefront companies to buy into. I was actually looking into existing businesses to purchase. So I was looking at wash interiors, things that brought in passive income, because like I said, I wanted to generate passive income that freed up my time so that I can do other things. And so I was actually looking at storefront properties. I was looking at wash interiors. I even looked at a few vending machines, things like that. Just you know, uh, things that required a lot of money to start, and and would require another investment. But I was all in. I was ready to do that, and I did that for maybe like 2-3 months after I got laid off, actually. And one night, man, I said, you know what? I'm gonna start a blog site, and I'm just going to document everything that I've been doing, everything that I'm feeling. I'm going to let everybody know that I was laid off. I'm not going back to work, and I'm going to build a successful business, and I'm going to blog about it the entire time. And that's how that happened, man. And like I said, it was something that I knew. It also motivated me to have, and I started telling everyone I have this blog site, and they started learning things that they never even knew about me. As I'm typing and I'm posting articles, and I'm telling them how anxious I was, and how new this is to me, and all the emotions that I was experiencing at that time. And I told everybody that I was going to document it, basically, through writing, and now podcasting. I'm still telling my story, and I'm still taking people along with me on this journey. And so that's how that came about, man. And the next morning, I had that vision at nighttime, and then the next morning I started on my blog site, and I had fun building a website, trying to learn WordPress, and doing all these things. And it's I've been working on it every day since then.
Very cool. It's
Yeah.
definitely a lot of work to maintain, huh?
Man, yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Huge
I hear.
learning curve, man. Just learning WordPress, and the back end, and plugins. I didn't even know what a plugin was. When I started my blog site, didn't know what a
How
host
how are how are
was.
you able to figure it out?
Google.
God bless Google.
Man, it's a gold mine.
Yeah.
And I said, there's still some people out here that don't use Google, and I'm mind blown when I talk to those people that don't use it as faithfully as you and I.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, nowadays it's like, I mean, you don't know something, doesn't matter. Just Google it. Yeah.
Anything,
Yeah.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's funny, man. So
yeah.
what was the feeling? What was when you started your blog? Did you ever have that feeling that, oh my God, I'm gonna write this, and then what is people gonna think about me? Or because I know most people, that's the one thing that stopped them from starting a blog and starting anything like that. What
Yeah.
what were you thinking back then?
Yes, man. I'm glad you asked that. Good question. Because that's one of the things that I had the most difficult time getting past. What was everybody going to think of me? Um, I I've never even openly discussed income, how much money I made, uh, because I grew up and it was like, if you don't tell nobody how much money you make, maybe out of fear of someone taking it from you, um, asking you for it, whatever the case may be. And now I'm telling everybody that I don't have the money that I used to have. I don't have a job. I'm just blogging, and I'm recreating myself in front of everybody. Like, and that was stressful. It was stressful because it was like, what is people gonna, like you said, what are people gonna think of me? Are they gonna judge me? Are they gonna think I'm crazy? Uh um are they gonna like what I'm saying? What I'm blogging about? How's my website gonna look? Am I even going to be interesting enough for people to follow me? um all those doubts and anxieties and everything, and shoot, man. And actually, that was I had to, shoot, maybe like a month later, I actually had to go to the doctor because I was having chest pains for like a few days in a row, and I just sat there in chest pain because I was just so anxious and balled up inside, because it was such a different thing, and I was just really, really stepping outside of my comfort zone. And uh and that was the first time I had ever experienced that. You know what I'm saying? And that just came with a new experience, doing something that I was totally, totally new to, and learning it, and then seeing how everyone else was going to receive it. But that's something that I really had to get over. Just caring about what other people was going to think of me. And when I was able to do that, um, things got a lot easier. But those first few months, yeah, man, shoot, I had chest pains. I was that anxious.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's very popular uh, feeling with somebody trying to get some ideas out there, because we all know that there's haters out there, and there's always going to be that one person that is gonna try to mess up your mindset. But
Right.
I'm so happy that you were able to get over it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. And like I said, um, I talk about it because I noticed that you have to accept it. Like some people, some of us, we try to resist it. And when we resist it, that's when it becomes worse. So I've learned to accept it now. And even, I still get anxious, time to time. I think, if your goals don't scare you, then, sometimes your goals aren't big enough,
Yeah,
that popular saying. So, I've learned to accept my fear and anxiety, but just keep pushing, day to day, and staying consistent.
very cool. I like that, man. So how were the first, once you decided to let that go, and it's like, okay, well, it's go time, let's get started with this. How were the first 6 months blogging in your business?
uh, um,
Were there more chest pains?
well, you know what? And then, the first 6 months of blogging, I actually got real good feedback, and it actually prompted me to write a book. And so that brought on more, like, and I gave myself a very, very demanding timeline on when I wanted to release this book and publish the book. But and so that added more pressure and of course, and anxiety. So I was blogging at the same time and writing a book at the same time, and staying consistent, and still learning, uh SEO, and and how to rank on Google, and keywords, and everything there is to learn about blogging, and trying to guest post, and trying to go out in forums and meet people, and everything that comes with the hustle and grind of starting a blog site and getting it out there. So those first 6 months was all about just staying focused, but like hard work, man. Like because you kind of have to be at multiple places at one time. Like, and if you're not organized, it can be real difficult because you like I said, you have so many tasks, and then you're writing, and then you're trying to be here, and then you're trying to be there, and you're trying to be um visible on all on all social media and websites. Then you're trying to, you're reaching out to influencers, to guest posts, and all kind of things, all kind of wheels turning. And then at the same time, I was writing a book, and so it was it was a it was. I mean, I was having fun, but at the same time, it was I I knew what I had gotten myself into, and so I was just trying to maintain a sense of calm throughout all that.
Oh, the craziness, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
indeed.
so it sounds like you were very busy. What
Mhm.
was your schedule for the book? How long did it take you to write it?
Man, 31 days actually.
Wow. You were definitely in a tight
Right,
schedule there.
right,
Yeah.
right.
I've written a small little free ebook lead magnet, but that was like 10 pages and it took me probably like 2 or 3 weeks. So I don't know how you did it, man.
Right. Oh, you said you got the lead magnet?
Yeah, but it took me, it's 10 pages and it took me 3 weeks.
Man, and you know what? And the book is only maybe, I mean, the book is maybe 88, 90 pages long. So it's a real, um, from what I hear, it's a real easy read, real quick read, but you may not be like everybody else. So, but, but yeah, like I said, I had a very demanding schedule. And I knocked it out in 31 days, and I followed a strict timeline, a strict guideline, and I was real disciplined and about it. I set aside 2-3 hours every day, and I just wrote, wrote sometimes more. If it lasted longer than that, it I went on for more than that. And even on the days when I didn't even feel like writing, I wrote anyway. And so I mean that was real demanding, but I gave myself like I said, a real strict diet timeline and goal to meet that. And it turned out all right.
That's good. That's what matters.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I mean, it sounds like you went through some struggles as far as emotions, and it was actually time demanding to do the work. It's hard work. I mean, trying to promote your blog post, trying to get guest postings, and then trying to make a book, and then launching the book.
Hmm.
During all of this process, do you ever feel like quitting? Did that thought ever cross your mind? Maybe quit and just go get a job?
No. No, not at all. Because I enjoyed every second of it. Like it was fun. It was exhilarating. It was exciting. I was passionate about what I was writing about. I was passionate about what I was blogging about. Um, and so I didn't, for those months, I did not uh think about quitting and going back to another job, because like I said, I set a goal in my mind, and I said I'm going to make this work, and everyone's invited to watch me blog my way through the through this rough patch in my life, this rough time in my life, possibly, man, maybe the lowest point in my life, honestly. And but at not 1 second did I say, nah, I'm thinking about quitting and getting another job. But it was hard. It was hard not to. But I just stayed faithful. I just stayed faithful.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that first of all, that's why I asked that question, because I've been an entrepreneur all my life, but I've always gone after the money. So every project is okay. What's trending? How are we going to make more? How are we going to uh, yeah, I mean, just going after the money. And the reason why I started this is because this was my true passion. So I notice the difference now. I mean, it was so hard trying to stay motivated when you're going after the money. And now that it's a passion, nobody's even paying me, and I'm doing it all day long. So I love that, you know, you found your passion and you just went for it.
Right. Exactly. And it, like you said, you definitely when you're not when you, like you said, when you're chasing the money, that's when things it's hard anyway. But it becomes
Right.
harder because you're not passionate about it. You're not, you're not in love with it. You don't enjoy it. Like you said, you're just chasing the money. You're on to the next big thing. What is it called? Shiny object syndrome. You know what I'm saying? And so so it's a lot harder to stay focused when you're doing that. But like you said, yeah, I loved everything I was doing, and I loved the feedback that I was getting. And it was still at that time, it was still very demanding. It's still very demanding. You know, entrepreneurship. You can't take no days off. I'm I can't, when I have a day off, I can't really relax. I want to do something. I feel like I should be doing something, and they come far and few in between now. But that's crazy. Like exactly like they said, you traded, 40 hours a week for 80 hours a week with entrepreneurship. So
Yeah, and you basically go from a salary to hundreds of hours non-paid for free. So it's all part of it, you know? It's part of the adventure.
exactly, exactly. And you can imagine the high of an engineering job to the low of collecting unemployment checks for a few months, man. And I was like, man, I gotta make something happen. And
Well, I glad you took action, and I'm glad you did. But I mean, I know it is hard on us, and it's very, very hard to be an entrepreneur. But it's I would say it's a little easier when you have that other person supporting you, and that other person, a family or friend, which I know in your case is probably your wife, if I'm not mistaken.
mhm. Yeah.
How has she played a role with you in entrepreneurship?
Oh man. Phew. I it's it's incredible how supportive and just inspirational and motivational she's been, on my journey. She's an online entrepreneur as well, and she hustles her butt off. Like I've never met a woman who works as hard as she does. And she was a nurse as well. Like she was a registered nurse, and she was working in the hospital, and she made good money, but she was not passionate about that. And she is a big reason, if not the reason, why I'm able to keep going and be faithful and know that everything is going to work out, because I feed off her energy, and she feeds off mine. And like you said, it's real, it's a whole lot. I don't want to use the word easier, but it's a lot. I guess it's less um stressful when when you have someone, your right hand, my right hand man, you know, uh, seeing eye to eye with me, and knowing exactly what I feel, and but right there to support me, and believe in everything that I'm telling her. Look, uh, what you think about this? Yeah, that's a great idea. Go do it. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, it was a good idea, right? All right.
That's hysterical. I'm exactly the same way. So my fiance is an entrepreneur as well, and I love how, I have an idea, and it's like, but I wonder if it's good. And then I go ask her, it's like, yeah, it's a good idea. Like, of course, it's a great idea.
Yeah, yeah,
It's funny how it works, but it's the way it is.
right. Yeah, man. And once you admit that, and you can, you know that about yourself, makes it a whole lot easier. And now you can focus more on that
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very cool. All right. So changing gears a little bit, we're going to play a little hassle round where I'm going to give you a word and you're going to, whatever pops into your mind, one single word, whatever it is. If it's a bad word, we'll censor it later. So don't worry about that.
All right.
All right. So let's get started. So we're going to start with the word hustle,
Grind.
work,
Hard.
employee,
Never.
boss,
Me.
rules,
Break them.
right? College,
Important.
fear,
Not real.
weakness,
Strengths.
strengths,
Yeah.
motivation,
Necessary.
and book.
I don't know why I drew a blank right there. Uh, get mine.
Cool deal. All right. See, I think that was the most stressful part of the conversation.
Right. That was fun though. That was fun.
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting to hear what other people think about those things.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm very happy that you took all this, you took action with your passion and you were able to, not only that, but you were actually monetizing it, which is super, super cool.
Yes.
It's like what I call, doing what you like and you still get paid for it.
Man, right? That's
Right.
that's what life is about.
Yeah, absolutely. So for all the people that could be hearing us and that they have this passion and they, a lot of them haven't recognized them, but there's a lot of people that know exactly what's their passion, but they just too afraid. They don't, they can't get over the fact that what is people going to think about me, or is people going to agree or disagree with what I say? What would you tell them? What hustle words would you tell them to get started or keep pushing whatever they're doing?
Fear is not real. I said it. I mean, that's it's not real. We were brought up to fear things out of survival and life or death situations. If it's not a life or death situations, don't be afraid of it. Step into it, face it, and don't care about what everyone else thinks about it. Because like I said, fear is imagined, and don't imagine your way out of your greatness. Imagine what happens on the other side of that fear. Imagine everything possible. Imagine the best possible outcome. And that's the antidote to fear. So stay consistent, stay persistent, and don't doubt your greatness. Don't doubt your abilities. Not 1 second.
I love it, man. I love it. All right. So before we leave, is there any way that people can, get in contact with you or can follow what you're doing, what you're working on?
Yes. My website, find me at ramonsmothers.com. That's RAMONSMOTHERS.com. And my podcast, the Two Peas in the Pod podcast. We go live every week, live stream podcast, video podcast, me and my beautiful wife. So if y'all don't want to see me, y'all can look at her, the whole podcast. And we talk about entrepreneurship, motivation, and a lot of inspiration on that podcast as well. It's Two Peas in the Pod podcast.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, we'll link it in the show notes too. And I did listen to a couple of episodes, and they do sound fun. And you can tell that she takes over the mic, man.
Hey, yes, man. She's a natural speaker. Yeah. So yeah, she has a lot of fun doing that.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for the taking the time to talk to me today, man. And we want to share all these stories and get other people motivated to take action on whatever idea they have, whatever craziness is popping in their mind. Just go for it.
Yep. Thanks, man. Thanks a lot for having me here. I enjoyed every second of it.
So there you have it, Ramon Smothers' amazing hustling story. It's really inspiring for me to see how Ramon was able to overcome this rough patch that he went through. He just got married. He had just bought a home that was burglarized. And on top of that, he was fired from his engineering job. But yet again, he was able to turn his life around and build this amazing and incredible online business. And I'm just so happy for him, very happy. And I wish him the best of success. And if you want to connect with him, you can always visit ramonsmothers.com, or you can also go to the show notes at thehustleshow.co. Thank you so very much for tuning in today. Remember that you can watch all of our episodes on our YouTube channel, or you can simply stream it in your favorite podcast player. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to The Hustle Show. I hope you tune in to The Hustle Show, as we will have an amazing hustling story as always, okay? Keep hustling.
Guys, thanks so much for tuning in to the Hustle Show audio experience. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And even if you didn't, make sure you subscribe to the podcast right now. It's still free. Visit thehustleshow.co for all the show notes and to watch the video experience of this episode. We'll see you soon.